What we're going to be talking about today is ridge cruising stands and cruising stands during the rut. And what I find a lot of is find a lot of destination areas, so like we've always talked about the destination food plots being a stand location site, um, preference site, I guess I should say, when folks are hanging rut stands and trying to take advantage of that, from grain to green, and looking into the further into the closer we get to the rut. And what I fear with that is I'm not, as you see in a lot of my designs, I'm not a guy that'll recommend or design a stand location, especially for the rut, on a food plot. And the reason that is we always go back to the age-old topic of getting in and out of that undetected. Some situations, I had a Mecosta County property this year that there was no option other to put a like an octagon blind that you guys have seen the pictures of there on that location, um, for a kind of a box blind set, an all-weather set. But we also hung stands going to and from that location, with trails, so he can hunt it at ease and get it out of there undetected. And then when the weather is perfect and we have a mock scrape right on there, right on like a little drainage that's right in front of the stand, to hunt it but not over hunt it. So going back to the topic that we have here is a ridge system for for that crucial time of the year for a rut cruising stand. Now, rut cruising stand, to me, perfect rut cruising stand is when you have a ridge system like I have right here behind me. I have water to the north, and I have a ridge system up here, and a fence line to the west. And what this does is it pinches these deer down here in a perfect pinch point right through a bottom, into a funnel area, and they cross out into crop ground and out into a food plot. And what you have by doing that is you are catching these cruising bucks during the rut, the pre-rut, that last week of October, first week in November, where these bucks don't want to expose themselves in a food plot area. Or you'll see these guys that are putting the 4x4 posts out in the middle of food plot and hanging branches off from them and creating these scrapes, and which they'll get used, but what I find is 75% of the time they're being used on unusable hours for us. In other words, nocturnal movement. So what I do is we always find these spots because of a aerial, on the use of a topo in conjunction with the aerial. And I can almost, I've said this to clients before, and it's kind of turned into a joke over the years, but especially when I do it on partials and prove that it can be done, is you drop a person off. I've always told my clients I can drop you off on the one end of the property, and like on a 40 or an 80 or 120, and you give me an hour, and I'll go to a stand location where I feel that we need to hang a stand, and you start walking the property, and I guarantee you, by the time that you get down to the food destination, that destination area, cornfield, bean field, whatever that is in that spot, you'll walk within bow distance of me. And the reason that is because of the using the terrain. So tying all this together with the topic that we have today of cruising rut stands. How do you pick a cruising rut stand? And to me, these you'll see these vertical 360-degree vertical licking branches that we use. Whether we use a lot of the willow, because I have them, and we don't have a lot of vine in our area, but if you use the vine, keep these mock scrapes that you're using with these vertical licking branches in sight or within bow shot of your tree stand. And what you're looking for is you're looking for a intersection, you're looking for a pinch point. And a crucial thing to remember, guys, is when you're picking a rut cruising stand, I don't want to say throw out the sign of a trail, but you have to keep in mind, to me, terrain over trail, or terrain over trail. So remember that phrase, terrain over trail. And the reason that is when these bucks are cruising, and especially when they're cruising and these scrapes are active, especially on a ridge system, so you tie it all together, these bucks are going to use their nose, mature bucks are going to use their nose to scent check these scrapes. And what they're going to do is there's no need for them to come within 30, 40, 50 yards of these scrapes. And the reason for that is they're scent checking these scrapes from being downwind. So what you want to do is you want to place yourself on a ridge system using the terrain going into these destination food sources when they're going to be there at dark or just after dark, and you know that they're going to be out there with the does, bumping does around. But what are they doing between the hours of noon and dark, or in a morning set? What are they doing between just before daylight and that 10 o'clock time? So keep that in mind when choosing these rut cruising stands, is that you use the terrain to your advantage. And ridge systems, to me, are perfect if you can tie perfect situation is if you can tie a logging road into them. Now I'm throwing all the best case scenarios at you, and it's hard to tie all these together with a pinch point, water, so your scent goes over top of the water, and tie in a logging road at the end of these hogback or razorback ridges that we speak of. Now, if you find one of these destinations, remember that the best thing that you can do is play your wind to your favor, and don't hunt these locations until the cruising has started. Now, because of some trail camera footage and some early movement that we have on a parcel that we're on right now, we are going to be hunting this here going into the weekend because of the cold front that's coming in. And right now we're 3 days into the season here in Michigan, and these one of the rut cruising stands that I have, my trail cameras are showing a lot earlier movement. So, but I'm not going to be in here unless the wind is perfect. So don't over hunt it. Let these cook until you can create you can pinpoint that movement on the end of these ridges for a rut cruising stand. So if there's water accessible right here, so right behind me in one of these pines on this ridge top, you'll see is where the stand is, and it breaks right down into a food plot down below, and there's ag to the west, there's a pond to the north, and the ridge system here to the east. So it all funnels down, all pinches down right here, right tight to the water, and it's a perfect rut cruising location. So when I call it a rut cruising location, remember, if the wind is right and you know you can get in and out of there undetected, I'm not saying don't hunt it, but just make sure it's perfect, and you should be able to be pretty successful on these. So remember, ridge tops, just off the top of the ridge. Use the ridge to your advantage. So like in this situation, there's ag about a half mile to the east, and these deer in an evening sit, they will come from the east over top of this ridge, and they cannot see the stand location. They can't cut our boot tracks where they're coming in from, coming over top of this ridge system. And when they crown the top of this ridge system, they're within bow range, and the wind is in our favor, and there's no way for them to get to off the top of that ridge to the bottom because of the water and because of the food plot going to the west. There's no way for them to get around us because of the end of this ridge. And because of that, I'm going to show you right here. If I can walk ahead far enough, I'm going to show you real carefully what's here. So you can see behind me, that's an intersection. There's 4 trails all coming into this one location on the end of this ridge, 20 yards from the tree stand, and it's a spot that will produce, has produced in the past, and will produce again this year if handled correctly. So find those spots, use that terrain, and be patient.